courtesy of our friends at the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. This is our tradition as we wrap up our week every single week, a chance for you to bring us your hottest takes. Every single one of these are real emails to talk@ryanjesperson.com. Well, that's not true. As a matter of fact, one of them is a YouTube comment that I absolutely loved. But this is audience feedback in the form of the Flamethrower, presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Here's that YouTube comment from Blahsheep, who says, Jespo, this is after our interview, Johnny, with MLA Scott Sinclair at a Lesser Slave Lake, who spoke out against the budget and was kicked out of the UCP caucus. We're going to see where that story goes from here. But Blahsheep says, I know Scott personally, and I helped on his election campaign. He has integrity, and I think that we need more independence in all forms of politics. The party system is highly corrupt. I voted for the UCP, but I'm unsure how I will vote after Scott got kicked out. Says there's no chance I would vote for the NDP, and Nenshi raised taxes constantly being mayor. I'm sure if anybody would bring in a provincial sales tax, it would be the NDP. Both the NDP and the UCP are corrupt. That from Blahsheep. What about this one from Paul, who says, Jespo, another blockbuster episode with the Carney landslide amid Trump's minute-to-minute maniacs, but thanks for the great interview with Scott Sinclair. You pushed him, and he answered everything. His constituents must be so happy they got somebody to represent their interests and not his own. How rare in these days of political hack moves and rhetoric. And I learned that $100 million of our tax dollars are being spent to tear down the old arena in Edmonton. Why now? Why ever? Who's getting paid? And how is this story not front page news? Paul, we had somebody write in to say they think Daryl Cates should have paid for it as part of the arena deal. Back to Paul's email. He says, you recently had Paul Parks, past president of the Alberta Medical Association, saying how short of cash that healthcare is. I'm pretty sure $100 million might help there. What's happening in Alberta? Kick out a young MLA who shows honesty representing his constituents? Drop $100 million for an old building demo? No money for healthcare? Thanks again to you, Johnny, and your crew for keeping us informed and entertained. Thank you, Paul. How about this one from Jan, who writes in and says, Johnny, get ready for this because you're going to get roasted with me. Jan says, boy, Ryan, am I getting tired of hearing you and Johnny poke fun at Teslas. Jan says, yes, I own one, and I have since 2019. My Tesla 3 costs less than my neighbor's Acura SUV, less than a GMC Yukon, less than a Chevy Silverado. And where are those vehicles made? I didn't buy the Tesla to support Elon. I bought it for its EV capabilities. I bought it as a tiny attempt to help with climate change, for the software updates, so I can customize its functionality, for the dog mode to keep my dog safe while I go in the grocery store. That's actually a great function. You can set the temperature so you can leave your dog in the car. It goes on to say it's actually been a great car, but I'm afraid that people like you two are going to lead to vandalism against Teslas in Alberta. I've already noticed an uptick in people rolling coal since Danielle Smith falsely singled EVs out for wrecking the roads. Listen, I'm happy to pay the tax that I missed by not buying gas. No need to villainize me. The first few years I owned my Tesla, people in Alberta were politely curious, and I happily showed it to them. Now I'm afraid of being lumped in with Musk and MAGA, unlikely partners for Tesla purchasers, as Max Fawcett said on your show. I am horrified by Elon Musk, and I'm terrified he'll make my car obsolete by tanking the company. What if all the made-in-U.S. vehicles became objects of scrutiny because of Donald Trump? I can't afford to trade in my car at a loss, and there are no comparable EVs out there, especially if I'm looking for non-American made. You have supported Danielle Smith, you have supported Pierre Poilievre, and I have listened as you give your opinion. But on Teslas, you and Johnny are feeding another fire that is contrary to peace, order, and good government. That from Jan.
GMC makes better EVs.
I don't know if that's true. But what I do know is if you actually, number one, Jan, actually love the email. Thanks very much. But number two, if you actually go back and listen to what I've said about Teslas this week.
Man, we were talking about how cool they were.
Cool
we were
they
talking
are.
about the doors and how we wanted one back when they were kind of affordable.
I specifically talked about how a bunch of my friends have Teslas, including an employee of our company, by the way. And I also implored people to stop vandalizing Teslas.
Love getting in an Uber and seeing that it's a Tesla. I always try to get them. Like, we're not degrading Tesla. We're just talking about, those prices we saw yesterday in Trump's hand were crazy.
So number one, Jan, love the email, respect your perspective, and number 2, I feel your pain. Because if I was driving a car that was coming to represent an affiliation, fair or unfair, with Elon Musk, I'd be pretty ornery and pissed off.
Don't vandalize them. We're not saying that.
Don't
not
vandalize
anyone's
anything,
car.
Real Talkers. And finally, earmuffs, kids. I mean, if the kids are still watching at this point in the flamethrower, what's going on? But this one from Michael to bring it home. Short but sweet, Jespo. Fuck off, America. We don't hate you, but we hate the idiotic idea from your wannabe king. So fuck you, Donald. We'll never be the 51st state. Go fist yourself. That from Michael. Wrapping up this week's edition of the Flamethrower, which is proudly presented by the DQs, the locally owned DQs in Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, and on Baseline Road. When you're swinging on by to pick up a Flamethrower signature stack burger, you make sure you let them know that Real Talk sent you. We've got an amazing week in store. We'll be talking, I think, about an election call. We'll be learning a little bit more about grizzly bear hunting in Western Canada and whatever else develops over these next few days. We stay on top of the news as best we can, but we're also best served when you're in touch with us as well. Email us anytime, flamethrower or otherwise, to talk@ryanjesperson.com. If you haven't yet signed up for the Real Talk Golf Classic, what are you waiting for? ryanjesperson.com under the events link. Thursday, June 19th at the Ranch Golf and Country Club. We'll see you in a couple of days.